Hey everyone, I wanted to come on and make a video and just talk about a few things to kind of, put some stuff in perspective, what's taking place right now. Because I know I've been sharing a lot of information and, everybody needs to really be aware of what's going on. And so I'm going to talk about some of it, in increments, of course. And before I do that, I want to say a few things. First thing is thank you to those of you who have been so supportive of my work, both on Facebook and on Twitter. Also on Instagram, but not as much because I can't post a lot of this stuff there. It's just not, the format is just not great, but so I really appreciate you taking my posts and sharing them and whatnot. On Twitter the other day, I shared about the Port of Seattle cop who had gotten fired after he made the video, and that tweet went completely viral. Things got crazy. I gained like 200 followers. Who the heck could even imagine that would happen, right? But it took off, and the guy actually, from what I understand, got several offers for a job in other states. So when we stick together, that's the good stuff that can happen, right? We have to look out for each other. And it wasn't fair that he got fired and that he lost his job for doing the right thing and speaking up. Just wasn't. And then I also want to thank those of you who are men who are standing up for me and defending the posts that I'm making and encouraging people to be open and take another viewpoint because we're clearing abuse of power right now. And if you go back and read my posts going back to probably October of 2017 when we went into the whole YouTube movement and the whole thing with Weinstein. Back then, we started all of this abuse of power. So this has been playing out for quite some time in our reality. And, for me personally, it really means a great deal for me to have the support from those of you out there who are men and willing to stand beside me and champion the cause because there were many that were not so kind or open. And I get that. There's many people that are having trouble with all of this information because uh, a lot of it is kind of creepy and a lot of it is scary and a lot of it is overwhelming to hear. It doesn't make sense. We've always been under one influence, and now we're finding out that that was all an illusion, and that the reality is that there were certain individuals at a level that were controlling everything in our reality, right? And the interesting thing is, when I got on Twitter, my peeps on Twitter, I kept seeing the same posts over and over again that said, symbols will be their downfall, and I didn't understand it. But their symbols are in everything that they do, and they've hijacked these elites have hijacked our spiritual symbols. So if you are in the spiritual community, working the Christed timeline, the Christed light, and you're not upset by any of this stuff, I think you should definitely look at that because people are getting blasted for liking the number 33 or 333. And that number for me has always been about the Christ timeline. That number has very significantly about the Christed light. It has ascended master energy associated with it. But somehow or another, it was hijacked by these Kabbalists, right? The Satanists, the pedos. And so that number is now being used to represent the Freemasons. And that's not okay, right? We in the spiritual community have to let people know that not everybody that likes the number 333 is associated with the dark forces or the evil. And if you think I'm making that up, please go do your research and you'll see that. So that I never realized before. And the other thing that I'm getting out of this whole experience and being part of what's going on, I've been awake since 97. I got red pilled when I watched a video back then of, it was like a Hunger Games type of thing. There was a hunt and it was a young woman, very, very young woman involved. And then at the end, there was going to be a what appeared to be a sacrifice, right? And because, of course, when you have a ritual, that's usually what follows. And it was horrifying, absolutely horrifying. And a high ranking government official was involved, right? And middle initials, HW. And so, and I have to be careful what I say on here because I don't want my video to be pulled down. I want you guys to have all this information. So anyway, so I saw that video and I couldn't unsee it. And then after that, I was told about the Montauk Project and all the tunnels under Long Island going into the city. I kind of was naive and I thought that's where it stopped, right? But it doesn't. The tunnels, the underground tunnels, they're called DUMBs, DUMBS, deep underground military bases, right? Run throughout the whole planet. They're around the whole world, connecting the countries and everything else. And that's how they are doing the child trafficking, human trafficking, okay? And so some of what I shared today were the videos of some of the people that are involved in in the the government program to shut that down. And it's a really big thing because the Pentagon is in charge of it, right? Trump has a team that is specifically for that, that is going in there and clearing it all out. So for the last few years, every time we heard these little mini earthquakes in the western region of the United States, like in Oregon and Colorado and California, those were those dumps being blown up because the kids were being rescued. And it gets really deep and it's an ugly subject, and it's hard. It's really hard. It's hard for me to even think about it, hard for me to even talk about it, but I'm sharing it because it's really relevant right now, especially with this contact tracing that's taking place. And so why it's important is because now that everything has been shut down, and the next place they're going into is Canada to do this and to take all of the tunnels there offline. Um, the reason this is important is because they can't take kids. They can't. You remember when they used to go on the milk carton and they would be reported missing and all of that jazz, right? Well, um, you know, they're they, they were missing for a reason. So I'll let you put two and two together. Okay. Yeah. So more is going to come out on this, and we just have to be aware. Now, I know many of you are struggling with this information. And when all of this started to go down back in March, I sat here and I went through all new videos looking for what was really going on because I knew it was something else, wasn't the virus, right? And then started putting two and two together with everything that I've been sharing. And if you're new to my page, please look at my Facebook page because I have a lot of very, very important relatable posts to what I'm sharing. And so it's really important for us to have the awareness of what is taking place and kind of let ourselves be like a sieve. Okay. That's the only way I could describe it. And that's what my team is showing me. So that's what I'm going to go with, which means that we take the information in and let it pass through our field. We let it pass through ourselves. We don't hold on to anything. We're not holding on to it. We're not mulling in it. We're not stewing in it. We're not getting angry in it. What we're doing is we're being a conscious observer. We're observing what is taking place. We're observing what is playing out. We're observing how this is relating directly to our experience in this reality. Okay. And why that's important is because I know even for myself, at the level that I do this work, sometimes I can get stuck for a second, right? It happened a few days ago when I started making some more serious posts and I had people yelling at me that, I was into the whole conspiracy thing and blah blah blah. And then, some people posted that, I was spoiled brat 'cause I was talking to somebody about, how targeting somebody in their emotional body, right? Which is what's happening when we can't go to a hairdresser, or we can't go to a nail salon, or men can't get their hair cut. Because I'm seeing a lot of men that are really very upset about not being able to get their hair cut, right? And I was talking about how that hits the emotional body, it hits the mental body, and it can create depression for us when we don't look our best and we're not feeling our best. Right now, of course, you're going to look at me and you're going to say, well, how come your hair looks good? Well, I share this house with my best friend who is a hairdresser. And every time, she looks at me, she sees what a god awful sight my hair is if it's not done. Now, does it really bother me? No, not so much, right? But for her, it does. So, she is like, come on, we got to go do your hair. You have an interview. Come on, we got to do your hair. You're going to do a video. Come on, we got to go do your hair. So I have been fortunate and blessed to be able to, have her do my hair for me. But I know many people don't have that, right? For me, my nails and my pedicure are suffering, right? But again, I don't really care because what's happening is so much more important, so much more critical. And so, I took that hit not just once, but so many times, being told I was into conspiracy stuff, right? And so I let myself have that moment where I felt really bad about it, really sad that, people who didn't really know me didn't know the years of work that I put into this business that I have, who the years of work that I put into my Facebook and my Instagram pages, and my website, bringing through free information for everybody, free videos, free writings, telling you how to do this, telling you how to heal, telling you how to raise your vibration, and then classes, keeping all my classes low, right? I don't make a lot of money doing this. I don't make any money doing this, right? But I love what I do and I love the people that I work with. And that for me is what makes this really worthwhile. So to have somebody come and make a judgment on me that doesn't know me, I'm not one to judge other people, but I was being severely judged, and saying very nasty things. That was really hard, but it helped me shift. It helped me come into a new place, and where now I don't really care what anybody thinks. I thought I didn't care before, but now I really don't care because I took that energy, instead of holding on to it, instead of mulling into it, instead of giving up the ship and giving up the fight. I used it. I used it so that I could shift this and I could come back stronger. And that's where I am now. Because whoever doesn't like this, they're going to have a rude awakening. And the pain that they're going to experience in a couple weeks is going to be so much more severe than the pain that we are experiencing, right? So getting back to so I want you to do what I did. I let it pass through me like I was a sieve with holes, and it just comes in and it goes out, and I take in the information and then I let it pour right back out of me because I don't want to hold it in my field. I don't want to make myself sick. I don't want anything, that I can't fix, because I've already had that before with cancer. So we're not going there again, right? And so I think it's really important to have that perspective and that awareness that we're in charge of our reality and how it all plays out. So let's talk about that for a second, because we're kind of stuck in this timeline right now where we're needing a lot of people to wake up. Okay. And I even posted about this, and we're seeing something interesting here, this cognitive dissonance playing out, where people are seeing information, right? And they're going right into the first stage of anger, right? It's almost like when someone dies, there are stages to that, right? Anger, then denial. Um, and then they have to have surrender and then finally acceptance, right? It's the same thing in this. And what I'm seeing now is from all the persistent work that I've been doing to get this information out, I'm actually seeing people that were resistant, that were, that were challenging me, giving me a hard time, not liking what I was posting, telling me they were going to unfriend me or block me. They're starting to shift. They're looking at it and going, I can't believe this is happening. This is awful. And it gives me an opportunity to say back to them, I know, I agree. I don't like it either, right? They can finally hear that from me, that I don't like it. As much as you don't like it, I don't like it either. I don't want it. I don't want this is my reality. But guess what? This is what we have right now. Okay. And so we need people to wake up. Are we going to push them to wake up? No, we're going to share information to do that. Okay, so if you're sharing information from my page, make sure you're copying the text, make sure you're copying whatever files I'm adding. I add sometimes, files in the comment section. Sometimes I add videos. Make sure you're sharing all of it so that the whole content stays intact and it can be more powerful that way. Okay. Now, I also want to say that we've heard a lot of stuff in the press about police, right? And how police are stepping up and like being powerful and outrageous and like, threatening us and stuff like that. Well, I had a client of mine today call for a session that we were going to do, and he was explaining to me that his friend, who's a police officer in New York City, is feeling very, very frustrated. And the reason that that's happening is because Mayor de Blasio has canceled the stop and frisk orders because of social distancing. So how is that playing out right now? Every single person is being urged or mandated to wear a mask. If somebody is looking to rob a bank or rob you or rob anyone, don't they usually wear a mask? Yeah. And now we're seeing people wearing rubber gloves because they're afraid of touching anything. Good excuse to wear some gloves and a mask and maybe do a robbery. So his friend is reporting that crime has gone up 100% in New York City. And I wouldn't be surprised if we hear that trickling out this way on Long Island. So we can't be mad at the cops, and we have to be understanding to them too that they're probably feeling incredibly frustrated with what's going on, because we're actually all feeling that incredible frustration as well. And we have to stay completely in our awareness, holding no judgment of anybody, right? But we want to share truth, share information. So if you have videos, we're just sharing perspectives and keeping it honest and giving out as much information as we possibly can, right? So one of the things that I want you to be aware of is that we're going to see a lot of things coming up, a lot of things starting, like we have Obamagate, and we are probably going to have some other, like Gate, maybe Pizzagate. And I'm doing that intentionally in the way I'm saying it so that it won't get flagged and this video won't get tagged or pulled down. But if you look those up, you'll know what I'm talking about because they're about to roll out in force. Um, we have to stay vigilant and we have to look out for each other. One thing I'll tell you, I definitely got you back, because whatever comes my way, I'm going to shoot it out there so that you could see it and you can make your own decision on it and you can see where you stand with all of this. I don't consent to any vaccines ever. I have not taken a vaccine since I was in college in um, 93, around there somewhere. Not that I first went to college in 93. I think that was like back in 83. um, but anyway, So, yeah, I don't believe in vaccines. And I do believe that they cause all kinds of problems and situations with our health, for our health. Um, so those of you that are fearing the virus, I'm going to say we already have it, all of us. It's in our body. It's always been my model. Epstein-Barr, mono, HPV, we've already got it in our body. And our emotions, our stress is what activates it. So if we have one type of stress, it becomes mono. If we have another kind of stress, it becomes Epstein-Barr, and another kind of stress brings up HPV, and another kind of stress brings up herpes, right? So that's my model for viruses, okay? And so we need to really, really do research, okay? And if something is posted by me, please do your research, follow the crumbs, because there's always going to be more and more and more. Okay. So now let me explain something real quick because I don't want this video to be too long. So I had made a post last week sometime about the Federal Reserve and Trump having taken that back. Probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago came to my awareness. I actually saw him say it in a talk he was doing in one of his White House press briefings. And the reason that he's taken the seal off of the podium, the presidential seal, the round one, he's taken that off of the podium is because that seal actually belongs to the incorporation that was formed for the United States many, many, many years ago. And that incorporation was formed when the Federal Reserve was formed because at that, for our history, we have not been owned by ourselves. And the Federal Reserve was created so that we could create the IRS, which would then, force us to pay taxes on income earned. And so that tax that we actually pay is not is going to the Federal Reserve from the IRS, right? It goes to the Federal Reserve, and it is the payback for the elites, right? I'm not going to go into all of it here. Again, I'm trying to be really PC and not get this video pulled down because they're taking everybody down these days, and I don't want my channel closed down. But I want to encourage you to do some research on the Federal Reserve. Look up chattel property because that's what we humans are. We belong to the Federal Reserve Bank as chattel property. And why this is important is because when Trump took the Federal Reserve over, he is now merging it with our Treasury Department, which means that the Federal Reserve is no longer. There is no Federal Reserve. Okay. That announcement hasn't officially publicly been made yet because there's many, many, many layers to this process that we're going through, many layers to what we're seeing taking place right now, right? Which is why everything is so confusing because we have a lot of things mixed into it. We have the whole Obama situation, and we have the pedophile stuff that's going to be coming up, and then we have the FISA stuff where we're going to see different arrests happening, and so we have to start doing the research. And so if you look that up and look up chattel property, you'll see. So the reason he took the official seal off the podium is because we're no longer an incorporation. We're no longer owned by the elites. We're no longer owned by other countries like China. Okay, so do your research, look that up, and the most important thing that's coming out of this is because we've been in this situation now for a while. The DS code is looking to bankrupt everything here. Okay, that's their way of destroying everything that has been built up in this powerful economy that we've had the last few years under Trump, right? And so in order for us to write this whole thing, and again, I want to just say I'm not a political person at all, but I have had to do an extensive amount of research to understand what the hell is going on because I'm in the same situation you all are, right? But I've done my homework, and I've been doing my homework since this whole thing with the quarantine hit. From the very moment it hit, I was running like wildfire, right? My friend who shares the house with me, she said to me, "You should be a detective because you get the facts. And if I don't get the facts, my guides bring the facts through, right? So it's really important for us to do the research. But why it's important that I wanted you to know about the Federal Reserve Bank and what's taking place is because one of the ways for us to get out of this at the end of this, and again, I want to say many layers to this, is that when this is starting to wrap up, I know that he's going to make an announcement. The president, there's going to be tribunals happening and a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay. And you're going to see a lot of it come out, but that goes back to when I posted about the 3 days of darkness. I still believe that's going to happen because there's going to have to be some kind of disclosure because we're going to lose a lot of people in Hollywood and who have been involved in some really awful, awful things, right? And so we're gonna see that come out. The one of the other things that is going to be produced during that time of darkness, from what I understand now, this has not been written in stone. It's just what I am understanding. Okay, so I'm just sharing information with you from what I have gained as my own knowledge. That in order for us to clear all of this, clear up the mess, because if you think about it, we have credit cards that are finance charging us through the roof, 26%, 28%. I mean, unheard of, right? How can anybody recover from that debt? It's almost impossible. So back when Clinton was in office, I understand he signed something called the NESARA law, NESARA law, right? Um, and it was like the National Economic Securities Relief Package or something like that, right? And it never went anywhere. It was like a hoax, okay? But from what I understand is our president has picked that up and has now put that in as a bill, and he created a second part of that, which is called GESARA, which is the global package. And to my knowledge, those are going to be rolled out. Um, I don't know when, because this is taking a lot longer than they anticipated, right? And now the DS has kind of like created this whole contact tracing thing, which is just a disaster. And it's really about them wanting mail-in voter registration, right? So they could commit more fraudulent activity. But what I understand is when we get to that place where everything can finally be righted, the internet is going to be scrubbed clean. And from that moment, the NESARA, GESARA laws are going to be enacted, and it's going to wipe out the debt that we have, because we have to start over from a clean slate. And if this economy is going into the toilet the way it is, you know, Trump, being the amazing strategist and businessman that he is, he knows what is coming. So so that's my understanding. I'm going to be making a post on NESARA, GESARA, just so you understand what's included in it. And I'm just going to say this, right? Because I don't like to share anything that is not fact-based or that I have not researched. That's something that I don't like to do. But I have a couple of people that are, you know, connected to the DOJ, and they have told me that there are 3 small countries, kind of like a Somalia kind of country, where they've already had the GESARA law enacted, where they've wiped out the debt because they were just in such a place of dysfunction that they had to come in and do that quickly. And I also know 2 people who have mysteriously had their credit debt completely wiped out. Okay, one is on Hawaii and the other one is on the West Coast in, I believe, California. So I just wanted to leave this with you and say that all of this is coming. And the most important message that I keep getting over and over from my guides, from the Galactic Federation, from the Council of Light, from my higher self, is that love is the answer here, guys. we have to stop the judgment, stop judging each other. If somebody is in fear, let them be in fear. You don't have to change them, you don't have to shift them. And if somebody is, you know, coming with information that you can't process or you don't understand, don't judge that either. You know, I posted the information on the cop in the Twitter feed, and those guys are, you know, very, very diligent with investigations and stuff, and they were coming back to me with a couple of different things, and my response is this: listen, until somebody is proven guilty in a court of law, I am not their judge and jury. I'm going to share information, and I'm going to post information, and I'm going to keep my fellow Americans, my fellow humans, my fellow spiritual warriors, because that's what we've become. We've become spiritual warriors, up to date with what I see going on. And you know, if I go down with my ship, right, the one thing that I want to be remembered for is someone that everybody could trust, because right now we need information. We need it to come to light. It's so important for us to get this information out there. It's so important for us to love each other no matter what our differences are, right? I had this amazing individual contact me on Instagram after somebody blasted me today and said they were not going to follow me anymore because I'm not a spiritual person, that they thought because my page turned political. It's not political. I'm sharing truth. You know, there is no such thing when we're in a state of crisis, right? And if I sit here and I tell you, airy fairy, hey, everything is great, everything is wonderful, and we have no problems, and there's nothing to worry about, I'm lying to you. So anybody that is doing that is not sitting in their reality. Sorry, that's just the way it is, okay? So this individual came on and he made such an amazing point. He said to me, he goes, it would be like me not wanting to talk to you or, you know, connect with you because you have a difference in your choice of ice cream. And he said, you know, I like chocolate ice cream, so you tell me I'm not friends with you anymore. And I'm like, oh, maybe we can't be friends because I like vanilla ice cream. And I started laughing over that and thought, like, yeah, I could imagine people fighting over not liking the same ice cream. Oh my goodness, right? Guys, please, please come together in compassion, come together in a compassionate heart. We have to get through this. We have to shift this timeline we're on. You know, it's like we're stuck. We're stuck in this timeline, still holding steady on the vaccines. We have to get off of here. We cannot stay here any longer. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. We have to move forward. All right. So share information always with each other, honor where each other is, and you know, take all of that into consideration when you're reading something that somebody else has posted. Okay. And I hope to be back on here real soon. I'm going to try to do more of these videos for you guys, just to keep everybody in the loop and to share some information on how to help support at this time. Um, to those of you that have made donations, I really appreciate that. You have no idea how much I appreciate that. So thank you so much. It really helps keep me going, because when I do different things or have classes and stuff like that, I have to pay for all of that, right? Because I'm not that technical. It doesn't happen by itself. My website doesn't run by itself. I pay for Zoom and all kinds of stuff, right? So it helps so much when you guys do that, and it's so appreciated by me. You have no idea. Again, I love you for all the support I've gotten. We're all in this war together. We are all human beings. We're the same. There's no difference. Okay, so love each other as much as I love all of you. And I do. I love all of you so much. Thank you for listening. And I will try to get back on here soon with another update for you guys. All right. See you. Bye.